Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy and pleased to welcome all of you to Geneva and to the think tank Hub Geneva. My name is Lukas and I'm the director of foraus, and as Enrique mentioned, I'm going to be talking about our model of public engagement. So the question is collective intelligence. Is the grassroots think tank model only possible in Switzerland? And I don't want to answer this question by myself, but in a dialogue together with you, and I hope that we can use these next 2 days to exchange and to learn from each other. And we already saw yesterday evening there's a whole set and wide range of questions on the table talking about public engagement. One question was like, who do we want to reach out? How do we reach out? Who inside of our think tanks is going to do that work? But there was also the basic question of like, why should we reach out? Is public engagement not just like a fancy trend, hampering actually my credibility of a serious researcher? So there are many questions, and as I said, I would like to bring in our experience, our model, but also highlight the obstacles and the challenges that we are facing in order to allow a discussion over solutions and answers. And the example that I'm presenting is an example of a think tank that is, if you want, designed by the public. So it's a think tank that is at the center of the debate on foreign policy here in Switzerland, and that has no single researcher on its payroll. So I'm happy that foraus is paying at least some staff, I'm one of them. But our staff is working on communication, on engagement, and so on, and not like classical researchers. So how does this work? By bringing in this experience and the challenges and opportunities of public engagement, I would like to make 3 points. Well, the first one is don't be afraid of public engagement. Yes, you have to take some decisions on why you want to reach out, who you want to reach out to, and how. But you don't have to start a revolution inside your think tank or organization. You have to adopt maybe some workflows. You have to build up some new skills and so on. But you don't have to give up the mission of providing evidence-based research in order to make public engagement a success. The second point is that I would like to encourage you not to look at public engagement only as a tool. Look at it as a goal. And try to incorporate public engagement into your vision and the mission of your think tank. Make it a value of your think tank. And my third point is on context. I mean, talking to an international audience, many people answer to me, well, yes, you came up with a really unique model of a think tank. Yes, it's nice to have this engagement, this grassroots think tank, but this only works in Switzerland. You're a small country, you have this long-standing culture of direct democracy, you have direct access to the political system, and. And here I want to challenge you a bit. Yes, we are a unique model, but you don't have to copy-paste it in order to engage with the public. Yes, Switzerland has a particular political system, but it's also a system that is old and that comes with challenges to us. And so I don't think that public engagement or the rationale behind this is linked to a specific structure or context. It's universal in my view. And so if you combine my first 2 points, the point of finding your way towards public engagement and to think of it in a holistic term, I'm sure that you can apply or introduce public engagement in think tank work in any context. That's my message. But let's zoom out again a little bit. You asked the question yesterday, why should we engage with the public? And it's a question that many of you have been spending quite a bit of time to reflect on, so I just want to run through a short list and maybe add a few points and arguments for public engagement that you have not been thinking about yet. So participation in think tanks may be used at different stages of our business. It's from identifying priorities to content creation to dissemination of our research results. And this will bring a range of benefits to you, actually. It's from improving the content of your research, to increasing reach, to building legitimacy and credibility towards the public, towards decision makers, and towards funders. So regarding content, we are all confronted, no matter if you work on foreign policy or healthcare, we are confronted with complex issues. And engaging with the public actually will allow you to identify collective solutions to collective problems. You know, this rational, or also this term of collective intelligence. I don't want to open a discussion on that one, but I will rather show you an example of how we do that in a few minutes. Second, increasing reach and improving the dissemination of your work. Well, that's quite obvious, and many people, when thinking about public engagement, they come actually up with that dissemination of your research results. And we have some talented communication officers, head of communications agencies here in the room, so I will not open a debate on that one either, but ask them to actually speak up afterwards. Third reason for why to engage with the public, well, it's credibility. We talked about this possible credibility crisis a year ago in London. And I mean, one aspect of this crisis is that think tanks are often perceived to be part of the elite, to be part of this closed elite, inaccessible to normal citizens. And in that role, think tanks might also contribute to a sense of disenfranchisement from the political process and declining trust in the political or in the system. So if you want to break out of this, public engagement actually becomes a moral obligation. And public engagement may also lead to a situation or to a way where think tanks actually start playing an important role as mediators between the public and the political decision makers. So think tanks as conveners, as space for public engagement. And as I said, better content, higher credibility, legitimacy. This will also make it more attractive for funders. Think of foundations that want to support or who want to fight fake news, who want to support democracies, or think of states that look to new projects in development aid. So listening to all of this, I'm asking myself, is it really a choice not to engage with the public? And just to come back to the foraus model, I mean, it was not a choice with us 10 years ago, because we were young thinkers. We wanted to have a say in our foreign policy. We wanted to engage ourselves for an open Switzerland, but we didn't want to do that through like the hierarchical system of political parties and organizations. And we also didn't only want to say yes or no in referendums that end up 4 times a year in our mailboxes. We didn't want to say yes or no at the end of a political decision, but we wanted to be engaged in the full policy-making process. And this, together with our empty pockets, I mean, that's how we ended up in public engagement. That's how we started to work with volunteers, to set up an organizational structure based on public engagement, to set up a methodology around public engagement. So now, why? From why to how. So we heard yesterday, I mean, how can you really engage a broader audience in a specific context, in a context of violence or political repression? How can you reconcile your role as experts in think tanks with the participation of maybe a less specialized public? And here I have 4 points on how to engage with the public. Well, first, you have to think, how do I bring the value of public engagement in your vision and mission statement? From there, and we talked about this yesterday a little bit, you have to develop your narrative of public engagement. For example, at foraus we said, okay, we want to have more participation. Our sister think tank in Paris, they were about social cohesion. Our sister think tank in Berlin, they're about youth. So you have to define your audience, you have to find your USB key for public engagement. Second, start talking with the public. I mean, you have to interact with the public in discussions, but not only, as I said, on the research results, but you have to also discuss with them and take their inputs on their needs. You have to listen to them about their dreams, maybe fears. And try also to bring together different publics. Work with and collaborate with other organizations to integrate their public, to have a diversified public. But talking is not enough. You have to empower the public. You have to engage them as equals. That sounds really easy, but it's very difficult, because you are the experts in your policy field. But don't forget, any person has an experience, has a knowledge, and you have to empower these people that they speak out, that they can bring this knowledge into a discussion, and that you can integrate the results of that discussions in your research. So you have to think about different models of how to guide and support the public, how to allow for space, how to structure a process, but also maybe offer some moral support to the public. And here, like the fourth one, like engage with the public, how to do it, engage it like throughout your whole research process. So not only at the end, at the dissemination, but really at the full scale of your research. And here maybe some of you would say, stop, you're crazy, it doesn't work. It's not scientific, it's not serious. But I mean, our model proves that after 10 years of existence, I've been like in the center of the policy debate on foreign policy in Switzerland, being consulted by the foreign ministry on the vision that Switzerland should take for the next 10 years, being the leading actor in the debate on China and so on, proves that it works, this model. And how does it work? We have regional chapters, so we create space. We have events where we bring people together. We have thematic groups where actually the members of our think tanks and others decide what topics they want to do research on. So I'm, as a director, I'm not saying this is the political agenda, these are the 3 topics we have to be present this year. So it's really our members who come up with ideas. And thirdly, and this will be presented this afternoon, we have also developed like some tools, actually an IT platform that kind of links the different people that are geographically in different situations and that allow further exchange online. And how this works, I presented in the annual report of OTT, and we will have a workshop on that this afternoon. Now, last thing, challenges, questions of public engagement. What are the consequences when you start engaging with the public? And don't underestimate them. There can be consequences on the institutional setting. So reaching out to the public might challenge the rules of your existing system. Think of Brexit. They said, okay, now you can vote. And this one vote ended us up in a mess. It changed the whole institutional setting, role of parliament, and so on. And if you start to engage with the public, this might also lead to some change in your organization. So your employees or the public wants to have a stake in your internal decisions. Your outside perception might change, new criticism will arrive, and you might also have to change the form of how you communicate your results to the public. But there are solutions to that. I mean, what is needed are clear rules, but also some flexibility and courage. The second challenge is like, who is your public? How to constitute the crowd and how to ensure the quality of the debate or the exchange with the public. And also here, I think you have to come up with a different set of tools. So for example, in our online discussions, we have moderators. We also link online discussions with physical workshops. We have a high-level jury that is kind of commenting on the different policy solutions or proposals that are made, that are presented online, and so on. And you have to remind the public that public engagement also comes with responsibility. So it's not only about the right to speak up or to participate, but they also have to do that in a responsible way. They have to listen to the others, they have to exchange, they have to think together, so we have to create a culture of public engagement. And the last one, I mean, yes, public engagement needs a lot of resources. Maybe money-wise, but also human resources. So that's why I'm saying you have to make the strategic decision if you really want to engage the public that this is a value of your organization. So to come to a conclusion and back to the question, I mean, is this grassroots model, or this model of a think tank designed by the public, possible elsewhere than in Switzerland? I mean, you have the proof. We have already 6 sister think tanks working in Europe so far, but we're open to anyone. So it works abroad. And I think a big lesson of that, but also from my personal experience, like living in several different countries, is that people are not stupid. They're ready to raise their voices, and they're ready to contribute with their ideas. What you have to do, you have to bring them together. You have to do outreach, but the rationale behind public engagement is universal. And second, what I wanted to show you today is that public engagement is not that complicated. There are many initiatives out there. We heard of an initiative by Chatham House yesterday. I gave you an example today. There are tools out there, so you don't have to invent everything. Just go out. You have to answer some questions before doing so, but afterwards, I mean, you have to have the courage to experiment a little bit, and then it works. So yes, that's a little bit what I want to tell you. Have the courage to go out, and also invest time and money, not only on your content, but on your methodology.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.